and Noah Moss, and this is
Rodgers.
and today we're going to be installing components in a computer. But before, always make sure that you're grounded when working in a computer with an electrostatic wristband. The components that we will be installing today are the hard drive, which is all your storage and stuff for your computer, your graphics card / GPU, which is it provides video for your monitor. The optical drive, which is used to read and write discs and also watch movies and listen to music and stuff like that. And also the RAM, which is your random access memory. The hard drives will go in here, the optical drive will go in here, and the RAM will go in these 4 slots, identified by the blue and black channels. And the graphics card will go in this blue slot right here. And also, you'll need some SATA cables for power.
It's a data transfer.
Then we'll have these SATA cables, which are used for data transfer. Are you ready?
Go.
So the first thing that we're going to be putting in is the optical drive. The optical drive will go in here.
Pause. Go.
Okay, when installing the optical drive, it might be a snug fit, but that's usually good. You want to make sure that these screw holes are lined up so that you can secure the optical drive in the slot. And be sure when you're screwing in, be sure not to use too big a screw. And also be sure that you have all of your screws all in one place so you don't lose them. Alright, so you want to be sure that you have your couple screws, or any way of holding screws so you don't lose them is good. We just have this cup because it's nice and convenient. Now we're going to install the hard drive. When installing a hard drive, you want to be sure that the controller is facing the bottom and the top side is facing the top of the case. You want to install it where the connectors are facing inside of the case. You want to line it up. Make sure the screws will go in easily. You want to make sure that it's screwed down tight. Now we'll be installing the RAM. The RAM has to be installed in a certain direction to be installed properly, and make sure that the notches are lined up. When installing RAM, be sure that you apply minimal pressure so that the side clamps will secure it. You should hear a little silent click.
Go.
Wow.
Finish.
Alright, now that the RAM is installed, we will work on installing the graphics card. Alright, now that we have installed the RAM, we need to work on installing the GPU, or graphics processing unit.
Need to mention. Go.
When installing the GPU, be sure that any clamps or anything that would be blocking the way is removed so that you can install it properly.
Go.
Okay.
Right.
The slot that the GPU will go into is a PCI by 16 slot. When installing the GPU, you need to make sure that all clamps or brackets are removed so you can install it correctly. Make sure that it's lined up and it clicks in applying minimal pressure. Make sure that all cords and cables are out of the way. Apply minimal pressure. Make sure when screwing it in that the video card is underneath the screw.
I wasn't even had it right. Go.
Now reinstall any of the clamps or brackets that was in the way.
That would.
Now reinstall any brackets or clamps that were in the way. Once you have installed the GPU, you need to make sure that any other power cables are connected to the motherboard, such as this auxiliary cable.
Go.
Now that we have done the auxiliary cord, we need to go about powering the rest of the SATA. Now that we've installed the auxiliary cable, we need to go about installing all of the SATA connectors to our drives. When installing the SATA, make sure that the cable is being put in the correct way and it snaps in.
It doesn't.
When installing the SATA, make sure that it is plugged in securely. Now we're going to plug in the external SATA cords. Go in. They will go in a certain way, so make sure that you are plugging them in the motherboard slot correctly. Be sure to plug them in the correct set of ports, which are the black and white on the motherboard at the very edge.
We will be plugging in these SATAs right here. These are SATAs, and they're just gonna plug in right about in here. And yep, it's pretty easy. Just a little nice soft push. They don't click in, but you should know that they're in there pretty well.
Oh.
And then now you are done.